Standing in the center was a bald man who wore sunglasses, and he had also donned a suit. "Jack!" greeted Paul. "It's been a while," he said as he went to the others and hugged them. "That's him," Faye whispered to Haley, who was standing next to her. "I can't believe that two of the strongest people on our planet look like shady businessmen." Although Jack Truedream didn't look impressive by himself, the two men who came out of the portal beside him did. One of them was a large fellow whose height was nearly 7 feet. He was completely covered in a gray-colored beast equipment, which looked similar to a rhino, while he carried a large two-handed axe on his back. By his side was an individual who was the complete opposite, a small, skinny fellow. This person was wearing beast equipment that was dark green in hue and had a mask covering his face, although instead of heavy armor like the other person, he wore light armor. However, just from gazing at both of their equipment, Faye could tell that they were high-level beast gear, way beyond that of the advanced tier. Jack truly had brought his strongest guards along. It reminded Faye that even though they were allies, still at the same time they weren't. The fact that Jack felt the need to bring these two was to remind them of the power that his family had. Right now, there was an odd balance between the ability users in the world that caused small-scaled skirmishes to happen. The military's strongest force was the 8 head generals that were in charge of each of the military bases. The leader of this group was the head general in Military Base 1. In addition to them was the Big Four from the 4 families. They were the current decision-makers in the affairs concerning the world, and whenever there was a serious matter to be decided, they would call a meeting between themselves. Once in a while, though, the families or the military would have to show their strength just to make sure that the others wouldn't get the idea of rebelling. "How about some breakfast together? My chiefs have prepared a great meal," Paul asked. "No thanks, I already had my breakfast on the way here," Jack replied. "I was hoping to speak to your sergeants who discovered one of our family members. I believe that when his body was discovered, it was found along with 2 other students, is that correct? I wish to investigate this matter before I do anything else. If you don't mind, that is." "Oh, honestly, I'm not sure of the details myself," Paul replied. "I surmise that Haley was the one who wrote the report and sent it off to you." "Haley?" Paul called her, and she immediately rushed over, giving a salute to both Paul and Jack. "Please, if you can, help Jack in any way possible." "Of course, sir," Haley replied. That was the real reason why Jack had decided to visit the military base. His original plan was to visit the particular place later. However, when he learned that one of his men died in the same way as one of his previous guys, he felt the need to investigate. Perhaps whatever had killed Ian was the same thing that killed one of his top men. He was hoping that he could find answers from the 2 students who were found with the body at the time. Right now, both Jack and Haley were inside the medical office. Haley was sitting down at her computer, while Jack was standing just above her shoulder, taking a peek at the screen. "Is this the report you wanted?" Haley asked as she brought up the file. Jack gave it a quick read-over, and it was the same report that he had received from her before. "When you recovered his body, other than the 2 boys that were with him in the place, was there anything else or anything inside?" Jack asked. "Nothing that I can remember, although now that you mention it, it did seem a little strange," Haley said. "What do you mean?" "Well, even though everything was supposedly destroyed, the whole training center was left untouched, due to it being made of lithium. It looks like not a single beast had managed to get inside the place. Yet, when we entered, it seemed like the whole place had been trashed, as if a huge brawl had taken place." "Do you remember any other details?" Jack asked. Haley then went into detail describing what the scene looked like, how there were several mangled doors, and how crumbled chairs from the arena were all over the place. She then also went into detail about Ian's body when they recovered it. The bottom half was still intact, while the top half had the same 2 bite marks on it. She also did a quick on-the-spot evaluation and found that the body seemed to have died not too long ago. "It sounds like Ian must have fought something while he was in there," Jack said. "Ian's ability was magnetism. Judging by the scene you were describing, whatever he was fighting with at the time managed to kill him. Do you have the names of the 2 boys? If they were there, then they must have at least seen something." Although Haley felt the same way, the boys had already been interrogated several times over the event. Right now, Haley felt like the most possible thing was a beast. Something might have attached itself to one of the students and got on to their scent. It followed behind them, killing people in the process and causing small puncture wounds on their necks. This was the only logical conclusion she could come to. Still, she didn't want to inform Jack of all the previous investigations they had already done. He was in a way higher position than her. She had also heard rumors of his bad side. At first, Jack was a pleasant person. He thanked the military for helping and taking him in, promising to always help them out. But as he got better abilities and more people on his side, the demands he started making were ridiculous. Nowadays, if he didn't get his way, there was no telling what would happen. The two students' files were brought up. The first one was Quinn. Jack quickly scanned it over, but as soon as he saw he was only a level 1 ability user, he quickly disregarded it. The next person was Vorden, who interested him. On his file, it stated his initial testing was a level 5, but next to it in brackets, they said it was subject to changes, and it was also stated that he was an original. The school already knew Vorden's power due to the information passed on to the previous school, but just for filing's sake, they took down his initial score. As Jack was reading through the file, that's when he spotted the name Vorden Blade. After reading this name out loud, a memory had popped into his head. Several years ago, Jack had had his power for a few years now, and his family members were starting to grow. He had been called in for a meeting. This meeting was between the big 3 powers, the strongest originals. He was invited to a private island where a large mansion sat on the highest point. He remembered each of their presence that day as they sat at a round table opposite each other. The pressure coming from each of them was immense. After all, they were the strongest people in the world. They didn't rule it by political gains or winning the people's hearts like in the past. Instead, they ruled it through their power with an iron fist, and just by looking at them he could see that. There was no military there, no government. There was just the 3 leaders of the family and himself. They didn't need any guards. What was the point when they were stronger than any guards they could hire? The meeting had come as a surprise, because the reason he was called was because they wanted him to have a seat at the leaders' table. The leaders' table consisted of the 8 head generals and currently the heads of the 3 big families. They had acknowledged the strength Jack and his family had at that time, and on that day it went from the big 3 to the big 4. However, one thing had stuck in his mind. There was one rule they stated before he left: to never touch the Blade family. At first, Jack thought it was a joke as he started to laugh. He had heard of every single one of them out there. He even knew several other big-name original families out there in the real world, but he had yet to have heard of this Blade family before. But soon after, he realized that each of them was deadly serious. The pressure they were emitting just seconds ago seemed to completely vanish at the mention of this family name. "Can you tell me why?" Jack asked. "If you ever meet one of them, you have 2 choices," one of the men said. "Stay away or help them, but if you go against them, not even we can help you."
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.